Well, the minority has raised some concern in respect of the legality and propriety of the Isaac Adongo comments in his capacity as chairman of the Finance Committee and a board member of the Bank of Ghana, citing conflict of interest, and they are seeking clarity on the matter. So the dual role he is playing, is the concern legitimate? Is there legitimacy in this concern? We'll hear from our panel in a bit. In a bit, we'll also have Stephen Amoah. He's Sticker, as we call him, legislator for Inshiaeso and also a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. We'll also have Dr. Rashid Draman, a governance expert, in a bit join the conversation. Apart from what we've heard in recent times about foreign currency, dollars, and all of that from the stock of Isaac Adongo, it's also come into the fray the concerns about the dual role he is playing on the board of the Bank of Ghana and also at Parliament's Finance Committee. Well, Sweetie and I are still here, and our guests will be joining us in a bit as we have that conversation. But Sweetie, what do you make of this call? Yesterday, the minority pushing on that front.
Well, I mean, if it really is a conflict of interest because of the oversight responsibilities of the Financial Committee of Parliament, then we have to do something about it. But I'm looking forward to understanding exactly what Stephen Amoah's concerns are from he himself, because he's joined us now. Remember, he's member of Parliament and a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. Mr. Amoah, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. So we've read your statement and we want to hear from you. Exactly what is the concern? You're saying that there's some sort of conflict of interest. Expatiate for us what this concern really is.
Okay, thank you very much. In the first place, I want to establish this point that it has got nothing to do with Honorable Adongo, his competence or his experience, because he has what it takes to even handle the two positions. But the point is that we are living in a country that we are being governed by laws. So what it means is that if there's something that conflicts our laws, we need to draw the attention of those who have what it takes to resolve it, being the executive. And the Constitution states clearly that the Financial Committee arm of Parliament has the oversight responsibility that half a year, Bank of Ghana is supposed to submit a report for us to approve. And the Finance Committee today is chaired by my own brother, Honorable Adongo, and the same person is a member of the board of directors of Bank of Ghana. So clearly, and even the standing orders also provide the same, or make the same statement. Please, I have a problem with my truth. Forgive me.
Okay.
So the point is that what is happening is affecting the constitutionality of our country. It's very unconstitutional. And so maybe the president or the executive body were not aware. They were not aware of that conflicting rule or the conflict of interest that might have also created. And that is why I'm trying to draw the attention of the executive body to look at that again. If there's a way to amend the law for him to be there, why not? Because I know he is very, very competent. But if not, we need to do the needful by reviewing the situation.
All right. And Benjamin will come to you in a bit. Why is this coming up now? Why is it only coming up now?
Oh, but they just made the appointment. This government has not even finished forming its board. So, I mean, it's surprised. This is very, in terms of timeliness, with me, we spent 6 months when they came into government. They are still in the process of forming their government. And whether it's now, yesterday, or tomorrow, it's about the law.
Okay.
So even if we keep him there, I have no problem he being there, honestly. I've been on the Finance Committee with him. He's my friend, my brother. He's very competent. And this thing has got nothing to do with him before God. But there's a conflict of interest being created, and we need to look at that. I think that is what you should look at, not the time.
We also have Dr. Rashid Draman joining the conversation. He's a governance expert. Dr. Draman, good morning. You would have to unmute, Dr. Draman.
Yes, I've unmuted. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Just permit me to do this because I want some specificity. You probably could help. Dr. Amwa, you spoke about the standing orders. What do the standing orders say in respect of this situation? Chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament and also member of the Bank of Ghana. I just want you to specify before Dr. Draman intervenes.
If you read the Article 184 plus 1 of the Constitution, the Committee of Parliament responsible for financial measures, of course, which is the Finance Committee, shall monitor the foreign exchange receipts and payments or transfers of the Bank of Ghana in and outside Ghana and shall report on them to Parliament once in every 6 months. If you read the standing orders, I think 2281 or 2282, it also states that the Finance Committee has the oversight responsibility. And it talks about the fact that the Bank of Ghana will have to present a report on the foreign exchange half a year. They are so emphatic. So,
but
if we have
specificity.
Chairman of the Finance Committee, being a member of the board of the directors of Bank of Ghana, let me ask you, then what are we doing to ourselves?
Okay, thank you for
Clearly,
that.
There's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
So I beg, yes, I have it here. Standing orders, order 228.
I think you've clarified for me already.
The Finance Committee shall monitor the foreign exchange receipts and payments or transfers of the Bank of Ghana in and outside the country and report to Parliament every 6 months.
Okay.
So what we are saying is that rule, how can we avoid conflict of interest?
All right. Let me bring in Dr. Draman. Do you think that this conflation of roles is problematic per the law?
No. I think, look, Benjamin, let's put things in a much broader perspective and look at our governance architecture. I think our governance architecture itself is faulty. I say it's faulty because it's almost, if you compare the situation that we are dealing with, it's almost looking at Honorable Isaac Adongo as Parliament, and Parliament as the body that is supposed to oversee the executive branch. And we have a number of our members of Parliament who are also ministers of state. So if you proceed from that, then our whole governance architecture needs a complete review. Then I think you get down to the practice that has been established over the years. I've heard your colleague ask the honorable member, why now? Over the years, most of them have served on boards, including even leaders of parliament, and the majority leader, minority leader, they have all served on boards. And I think there's been a lot of calls over the years for this practice to be stopped, but Parliament has not done it. You ask for the specifics in terms of what does the standing orders say or what does the Constitution say. I mean, these are matters that are silent in both the standing orders and the Constitution. We have a practice in Parliament where, there is, for instance, I think there's a committee on members for profit or something similar. So that if, for instance, you serve on a particular committee and there are situations where there could be conflicts of interest, you declare your interest, and perhaps maybe when matters like that come before the committee, you recuse yourself. In the case of Honorable Adongo and the Finance Committee and the Bank of Ghana, honestly, I think per the law, I don't see anything wrong. If they want this practice to not to repeat itself, I think they need to go back to the rules and change the standing orders and stop members of Parliament from ever sitting on any board at all. Then I think we will not have this conversation. But so far as we continue the practice of having members of parliament sitting on boards, you are going to have this. Legally, is it wrong? No. Perhaps maybe there are some ethical issues there. And for me, I think those ethical issues can be addressed perhaps when matters of Bank of Ghana come before the committee. Other leaders of the committee take over in terms of the conversation so that the Honorable Chair could recuse himself.
Do you know whether the laws have changed? Because as far as we know, the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, is not under the supervision, direct supervision of the finance ministry anymore.
You know, as per the standing orders, they have tried to get, I mean, these governance institutions and some key institutions of our country to, I mean, you know, report to Parliament and maybe to have some level of independence. But I think that that's a constitutional issue, because whatever the standing orders say, as we know, over the years, sometimes get trumped by the Constitution if there are provisions in the Constitution, and I can't remember because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't remember all the kind of the key provisions. But whatever it is, technically, on matters of finance, on matters of money and monetary policy, it's the Finance Committee that is, I think, the sole group responsible in our republic. And for that matter, whatever it is, you can't divorce the Bank of Ghana from the Finance Committee. But again, let me say, this practice that they have perpetuated over the years, I mean, trying to make sure that, you know, all the time, government after government over the years, members of parliament continue to serve on boards. I think that is what is bringing us to this conversation. So
thank you for that point. I just want quick thoughts on this before we bring in Dr. John Osai Kwapong of the CDD.
Hello. Hello?
Yes, Doc, please hold for me. Is that Dr. Kwapong? Oh, Stephen Amwa, Doc, please hold for us as well. We'll be rounding back to you in just a bit.
Sure. Good morning.
Yes, and good morning, Dr. John Osai Kwapong as well. Dr. Draman, so on the back of what you've said, are you saying that you are one of those who are saying that, look, if you're in Parliament, then you shouldn't even play any of these roles on boards and all of that? Tied to what the General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Fiavi Kwete, has been saying, that, look, it's problematic. We need constitutional reforms to actually decouple parliamentary duties from ministerial appointments, where people get into Parliament as a stepping stone, a lobbying point to get to the executive. What's your take on that? Just quick thoughts.
Yes, indeed. I think the timing too is right. I mean, Professor Prempe is leading this process. Clearly, I mean, we need to divorce Parliament from the executive, and we need to stop this practice where members of Parliament play a role in terms of management of, I mean, our different agencies in this country. I mean, that practice has to stop, and I hope that the Constitutional Review Committee is going to take this up. I mean, some of us appeared before the committee. We made some of these propositions. I hope they stick.
Let's engage Dr. Upon now of the CDD. And Doc, thank you for joining us. Dr. Draman has just said that legally nothing has been done wrong, but he's also said that over the years we've seen this happening, so this is not new. I want to learn from you where the intersection is between what we've been practicing over the years and where in the law could actually give rise to a conflict of interest in this matter. Do they have a point, the minority, I mean?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, so there is nothing in the law that precludes members of parliament from serving on either boards, things like that. But as also the point has been made, the practice starts raising questions of ethics, also questions of possible conflict of interest, right? So, for example, if you serve on a board, and if you think of Parliament's role, not just in legislation, but also its oversight role of the executive branch agencies, as well as all of the boards that constitute or make or are part of the administrative state of the executive branch, then you can see how a member of parliament serving on a board may make it difficult or challenging for that member of parliament to be able to properly exercise their oversight function, as a member of parliament. So yes, there are no laws that prevent that, and we've been practicing this for some years now. But I think we've reached a point where, in looking back, we can start having that conversation and saying to ourselves, this may not be best practice when it comes to good governance, ensuring accountability, ensuring transparency.
They're also saying that this is a matter of natural justice, that, and let me quote the statement. It says, the law provides that the Bank of Ghana must report to the Finance Committee. How can a board member of the same Bank of Ghana chair that committee? So, I mean, in terms of specificity, do they have a reason why we should remove Mr. Adongo from this position, from the board of Bank of Ghana, in terms of what they're citing here, the oversight responsibility? Should he be removed?
So, no. And I say no because, yes, the bank, there's that oversight role of the Finance Committee. But again, there's no law that prevents a member of the Finance Committee from sitting on the board of the Bank of Ghana. As a matter of practice, to avoid appearances of conflict of interest, all of that, you can make the case that it is quote unquote improper or doesn't help the case of good governance to have that dual role on both the Finance Committee of Parliament and also sitting on the board of the Bank of Ghana. But if you would realize, most of the time when you raise these governance issues and questions in a place like Ghana, the first point of reference is always, well, it is the Constitution doesn't prohibit it or no law prohibits it. And that's correct, right? When you search through the laws, there's nothing that prohibits it. That is why, if you really want to gain traction on something like this, making appeals to ethical standards or it doesn't reflect best practices when it comes to good governance, that would only carry you so far. The only way you get mileage on something like this is to go back to the law or go back to the Constitution and make the necessary changes and reforms. I think it's the only time that some of these things carry the kind of weight that we expect it to carry.
So can we then make the case that because he as an individual does not constitute the entirety of the board for Bank of Ghana and for the Parliament Finance Committee, his position does not in fact undermine the independence of the committee and represents a structural conflict of interest? Can we make that case? That he's just one individual and the board...
That's a fair...
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
That's a fair point. So that... Yes, that's a fair point, because then you can say, well, he's only one of 10, 11, 12 members of a finance committee. So that even if he is the one who would have that conflict, there are 11, 12 others who through that peer mechanism can check and hold him back, right? Or even if he's the one who decides not to exercise oversight over BoG, he's just one out of 13, 14 members of the Finance Committee. So there's that inbuilt check that can sort of push back against anything that you think may undermine his ability to,
Doc,
his independent oversight work. Yes.
I'm curious, speaking about that independent check, you talk about the numbers there. Does it make any difference that he is the chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament? Would it have made any difference if he were an ordinary member and then he were on the board of the central bank? Would it have made a difference?
I think in the role as the chair, you carry a lot more, you carry a lot more weight. So yes, in your role as a chair, that would give me some concerns, right? Because if, for example, the chair has powers that has to do with whether you make certain requests of the institution that you oversee, whether you have that power to call some oversight hearings, things like that, then I can see how you can be conflicted in both roles. So yes, that changes the dynamics.
I want to see how Dr. Stephen Namwa responds to this. Doc?
Honestly speaking, it pains me that sometimes, because greater part of my life has been seen publicly as a politician, when you speak, nobody takes it serious. But I'm surprised the way this issue is being handled. One, the name Honorable Adongo should be out, because honestly, he's very competent. In fact, he can even handle the truth. He's very intelligent. Let's not go there. But let me ask you, a situation where the Constitution explicitly states that the Finance Committee of Parliament has the oversight responsibility. Oversight. And even every 6 months, they have to report on a report submitted to it by the Bank of
But that's the points our panelists are making, that is the committee as a whole. Sorry, go ahead.
And then the standing orders also say the same thing. Let me ask you one thing. It's just like a situation where a student is part of a committee that reviews the student's exams. It's very practical. Let's be real.
Is it the exact same thing? Because then you hear of Dr. Draman talk about the fact that some of you are members of parliament, you are on board, some of you are members of parliament, you are ministers. In terms of oversight,
this one is
how is this different?
This one, maybe where we putting the two together. I understand where he's coming from, respectfully. But my brother, if the Constitution says that a particular committee has oversight responsibility over a particular organ or body or institution or corporation, and that corporation has to submit a report for review or appraisal, and that report will be sent to Parliament, and that committee who has that responsibility, the chairman of it is part of that board. For Christ's sake, I think it pains me that this thing has even come to me, honestly, because Adongo is my personal friend. But I think this whole thing about sometimes we're trying to dilly-dally issues. If we are separating this whole thing about functional and structural or whatever, I agree with them. But this is a specific case, and the Constitution has placed emphasis on this. You can't compare this to others.
All right.
Yes, you have to appraise this. You are the chairman. You are in charge. The report will come to you. If it's good or bad, you head a committee that appraises this and submit to Parliament for bigger decisions to be made. And you are the same person. You are part of those whose board also supervise whatever activities and policies and operations in that institution. How could we marry the two?
So
that
point you made.
Gradually, I'm shifting from that entrenched political position these days. But Ghana, we need to have a shift in which NDC people will not matter again. A shift that people will not have underlying interest. Look, this same thing you're talking about, Samson Ladi, I never knew. It's after doing this that I heard. I started doing this, I heard, and I even talked to him. It's on record, video record, that he even spoke against it long before, during the appointment this year. I think this is a legal issue. Of course, there's element of governance to be seen in terms of analyzing and impact and this conflict of interest and other things. But it's more of an interpretation that we need from the legal bench or framework. The fact is, even ethically, it's not right. Yes, the law doesn't say it, but the law says that you're the chairman. And that's the thing you have to supervise or preside over this. And that thing that you have to, in a way, mark what they do, assess what they do, appraise what they do, and do a report on it. You are a member of that thing. How can it even work?
I just have to shoot these follow-ups to you. You talk about ethics and all of that, the separation of powers and everything between the three arms of government. It devolves to boards and all of that. But as we have it now, I'm going back to the point that was made, which Dr. Draman has made as well. you don't have a fine line drawn. So, first off, would it have made any difference if Isaac Adongo were not the chairman of the Finance Committee, but just a member? Would it have made a difference for you?
The difference wouldn't have been very significant, but of course, being a chairman, he holds more water. And let me correct this. I beg you, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a law student. There's also a big issue that I'm sure those who are working on the constitutional amendment should look at. In this part of our world, when it comes to the separations of powers, it is not parliament, but rather is the constitution, which is driven by the Supreme Court or the judiciary. In terms of sovereignty, has a bigger sovereignty. The sovereignties of the executive and the even legislature, they are limited. So we need to look at this critically. But I think sometimes there are confusions over this. I'm saying this because of what you said. But of course, if I'm just a member, it wouldn't be too much of an issue. Still, to me, it's an issue. But being a chair or a chairman makes it worse. We are not talking about
the point has been made.
Adongo is a very principled person. I mean, I'm being honest with you.
Right.
He's somebody that you cannot bend him around. But if one day we don't have Adongo there, and they bring, say, Stephen Amoa, or they bring Ni, Lai, and they bring Sewa, and the person is not like Adongo or any other person, what happens? So it is that space which has given opportunity for conflicting issues to arise. I don't think anyone should be allowed to mark his own paper. It's not allowed.
Humor me here. You talk about the fact that his being a member wouldn't have been so bad, though you still feel there's a problem there. There are a number of people of you, and you are on that committee as well. Are you the ranking member?
No, I'm the deputy ranking.
Okay, you are the deputy ranking member. There's a number of you, there are a number of you in there who can control any such excesses of the chairman with this dual role. Do you think still that does not suffice in remedying the situation?
I still think you people are not getting it. Today, they can amend the law for Honorable Adongo to be there. I prefer that even anybody saying we should remove him because he's very competent. But what I'm trying to say is that even in the House, committee levels, we vote. And then people are lying. I mean, NDC will go once, FDP will go once. About 99% to 100, all that we do. Now look at their numbers. They far outweigh us. So it's not a matter of other people will come on board to do this. There's a legal issue. If somebody says there's no legal issue, I'm surprised. Because the Constitution says I am the chairman. The Constitution says that the board I'm a member. They should report to me to appraise them. My brother, this is not anything that people should go around it, honestly. It's not anything people should go around it. It will not help us as a country. So we need to do something about it. And I'm not raising this as Stephen Amoa. No, people should get it. It's the minority side that is raising this whole issue. And it's got nothing against NTM.
Right.
Adongo. Okay. It is something that as a country, as a matter of urgency, even Adongo can be there, even for the 4 years. But it's an issue we should look at and work on.
All right.
I'm not interested in Adongo being removed or saying that. That is not my business. My business is an issue we are raising now that is creating a conflicting situation.
Right.
So what we all acknowledge, even Adongo can be there because the decision has been made. Fine. Going forward, what can we do about it? I think if we
point made on that. Hold for us, Doc.
Dr. Draman, I noticed you wanted to say something at some point, but what I'm hearing from Dr. Stephen Amoa is he wonders what the nature of governments will be if the leaders who are supposed to be checking each other neglect these issues of conflict of interest. What's your take on that?
Honestly, I will go back to what I said earlier. I think we have to go back to the whole architecture of our governance. I mean, if members of parliament are comfortable with the fact that they can be members of the House and still be ministers of state, like he himself has been before. In the morning, he's in the ministry, and then in the afternoon, he's in parliament. And I mean, matters of the executive are supposed to be overseen by the legislature, of which I mean some members of parliament are a part. You know, it creates a big confusion for all of us. If nothing is wrong with that, then I believe nothing is wrong with, what is currently happening. We need to go back to the basics. We need to just ensure that that divorce happens. And divorce at the bigger level, and then when you come down to within Parliament, members of Parliament should stay off completely any board at all, not even not only Bank of Ghana, any board at all. I think that it will improve our governance. So his call is in the right direction, but I think it should be a much bigger call, not only just a matter concerning, this specific issue of the Bank of Ghana, because I think it's part of the broader kind of challenges that confront our governance. Because over the years, and in fact, I can quote our former president Kufuor when he was leaving power, his last State of the Nation's address. I was in Parliament, and he said if there was one thing that he wanted to see change, I think he wanted to see the divorce, because that is not, helping our governance. That is not helping oversight, and that is not helping Parliament to hold the executive to account. And I think that this is part of that kind of broader conversation.
Why is saying that he doesn't even mind if Mr. Adongo is kept in that position for the next 4 years, but he wants us to look at it at a more holistic and broader approach. So my question is, if it's not bad enough that we are requesting or demanding the immediate removal from one of these positions, where do we even start to unpack this?
Well, I think honestly, look,
okay, I was asking Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, but you get a bite at it and then I'll go back to Dr. John Osai-Kwapong.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't hear
no,
that.
It's okay, go ahead, yeah.
No, I was just saying that our members of Parliament want to have their cake and eat it. I think we need to make a choice. And whilst they are in the process of making the choice, I think we, the citizens, have to push and ensure that the right things are done. And I just sincerely hope that Professor Prempe's committee, at the end of the day, would ensure, because even the previous constitutional review process, some of us were part of the conversation, about 95% of our citizens said, please keep Parliament off the executive. Keep Parliament off the executive. And I think that that's the same clarion call that we are hearing. And if we start with that, I believe that will trickle down to ensure that members of Parliament stay and do their oversight work, the work that we have hired them to do, and leave all these others to the executive, so that the executive will come to the House and be overseen by the members of Parliament, the job for which they have all signed up.
All right.
But you can't be here and be there. I think that it creates a problem for our governance.
Thank you so much, Dr. Draman.
Yeah,
and Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. So, the minority were the ones who raised the red flag in the first place. And now Dr. Stephen Amoah is saying it's not about Adongo in particular, and so he doesn't mind if he's kept in office. So if it's not so bad that we want him to be removed from one of these positions immediately, where do we begin to unpack this issue of conflict of interest, or seeming conflict of interest at this point?
Well, I think sometimes it takes some of these individual situations to draw our attention to the bigger question about, is there something that we need to do about our governance structure and where we need to make the necessary tweaks or not? So yes, Dr. Stephen Amoah is right. It's not about Adongo, except that it's the Honorable Adongo who is sort of bringing this point up again. But I agree with Dr. Draman, which is, let's look at the overall governance structure. I have always supported this idea of even preventing or not even selecting ministers from Parliament. If you want to be a parliamentarian, be a parliamentarian. If you want to be a member of the executive, whether a minister, deputy minister, a political appointee, be that. Yes, the Constitution makes it permissible, right, for members of Parliament to be selected into the executive as ministers or deputy ministers, right? It's a constitutional requirement. I'm not sure what the rationale why the founders and those who framed the Constitution brought that up. So that's So yes, we would have to fix that through the Constitution. But I share the sentiments of Dr. Draman when he says, make sure you have that clean separation, stay in Parliament, focus on parliamentary work, stay in the executive, focus on executive work.
Let me just run this question by all of you because I just want quick takes on them. Dr. Amwa, if you look at this accountability that is being spoken of, I guess in future when everything is set right, we would want a clear separation of powers. How feasible that is, only time will tell. But in terms of accountability, even if we had a system where legislators were purely legislators, they were not on boards, they were not members of the executive, looking at the accountability factor and the numbers, for example, that the NDC currently has in Parliament, do you feel that accountability will still work? Dr. Amwa?
I think even if we have seemingly balanced Parliament, just as we had, getting absolute accountability, you won't get it anywhere, even anywhere in the world. But of course, we're largest, and we want the one that can impact this nation positively.
Okay.
But let me tell you.
I just want the thoughts on this to be very brief so that all of you can have a
we're hoping this whole thing about let's do a bigger picture, I understand that. But what we are talking about today is a bit different from where they are bringing this whole issue. That I also think is also important. That's a different conversation. But what we are trying to say is that there is a legal extract that has hinted us or that has given us, that has notified us that there is something wrong being done in our country because a teacher cannot mark his script, his own exams, so his own test that he wrote. This is very fundamental. Let's take that. Before we say that, okay, there are bigger issues, but we also have to understand the fact that even among the separations of powers, we call something reciprocity. So that you need some level of coordination. That also means that if somebody also is in Parliament, apart from maybe concentration time and other things, or specific issues such as we are raising now, it wouldn't have been too bad. Just that we need to find a better way of making sure that there wouldn't be any conflicting rules or, overlapping time or whatever, or structure and functional issues. But I think the question that you are asking, it will be better and more placed if that separation can properly be done in terms of structure and function.
And that's so that, exactly
of course,
where...
if you are in Parliament, you concentrate. If you are an executive, you concentrate. I think that is better, honestly. But you still don't get the absolute accountability or transparency or the results or effectiveness or the efficiency that we need. And so I think it's a very good area that we need to now begin,
I get your point.
Entrench that conversation.
Right.
We need to do that.
Dr. Amwa, hold for us. We'll be wrapping shortly. I get your point. Even when it comes to the budgets and all of that, you approve for one another. Dr. Draman, what would be your quick take on that?
I think, Jonathan, having observed parliaments, including our own, over the last 2 decades plus, I have come to the conclusion that, yes, majorities matter in terms of whether you get, you can exact oversight and accountability. But one of the biggest concerns that I have observed over the years is accountability and oversight is possible if members of parliament are guided by a very high sense of moral responsibility. They know what is right, they know what is wrong. I think they are conflicted most times, mainly because of so many factors. Party, powerful president, the people who pay their way to make it to parliament and so on. High sense of moral responsibility would be what I believe would make a difference in terms of whether we get oversight.
All right. Thank you for those thoughts. Dr. Osai-Kwapong, your brief bite on that.
So it will depend. If you look at the research that has been done around legislative oversight of the executive, mainly from looking at the American system.
Right.
The argument is that most of the time you tend to get more oversight and more accountability if the party that controls parliament or the legislative is different from the party that controls the executive. So in the US, you tend to see a lot more oversight hearings if, let's say, Democrats control the House of Representatives and it's a Republican president. So that's why I say that it would depend. Some important structural changes, like, for example, PAC is chaired by a member of the minority party. That can help with oversight. I know in the last revisions to the standing orders, they placed one or two committee chairpersons' role in the hands of the party that would be in the minority. Those are the kinds of things that would help add and strengthen the accountability piece.
Right.
But making that separation, for me, is the first step.
We have a final issue. Sweetie will usher you through that question.
No, we should wrap up.
Okay, so there's just this bit, though, about... let me find out from you, Dr. Amwa, the former vice president and contender for the presidency, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been in the UK, and he apologized to the people for the disappointment in the performance of the MPP in the last general election. Do you have any quick reaction to that?
Well, I thought you called me on a specific issue.
Yes, we are. I'm just running this by you.
Because I didn't hear him.
You did not.
Something that I haven't heard. I don't want to depend on second information.
Should I quote him? Should I quote him for you? He says.
Come again.
Should I quote him for you? He says the MPP did a lot of work. There's no doubt about that. But we did not get everything right. We got quite a few things wrong. And I think that on my own behalf and on behalf of the party, I apologize to all of you for us not getting the figures right.
You see now, what you said at first is different from what you have said. That
What's
we
the
did
difference?
a lot of things right, but it's not everything we did, which means some of the things we did were not right. And that based on those few things we did not do right, he apologized. That one I agree with him 100%. I don't think there has ever been any system, any jurisdiction, any sovereignty in the world, any country in the world, any government that can say that, my turn, I did everything right, especially between 2020 to 2023, where we all knew where the world went. So to that extent, I agree with you.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for
It's a pleasure.
Joining the conversation. Dr. Stephen Amwa is a legislator for Nshiayeso constituency. He's a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. We also have Dr. Rashid Rahman, who is with the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. He's a governance expert. And Dr. John Osai Kwapong, he's a CDD fellow.
Now, before we leave here, if you're looking for a home in a prime location, then Nesta's Home has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes, and social amenities. Off-plan prices start at $35,000. And you can call us today for more information on these numbers, 053 101 4440 or 053 101 4447. Our website, www.nestas.com.gh, also has more information.
And when you find that prime location, you'd be thinking about water and how you would manage. Ghana, let's talk water tanks then. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, it is built to handle our Ghanaian weather so that rain or shine, Syntex tank has your back. So my people, go out there, check your tank. If it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time for you to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough, like a tortoise. You can call 0244 335 168 to buy now or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at www.syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, are you strong? Are you tough? We'll be right back after this break with more in conversations. Do stay.